Hello, and welcome to Handled-ish, Productivity for the Imperfect, a weekly podcast for those who want to elevate their productivity but are not looking for perfection. I'm your host, Betsy Hayes, and I am so glad you are joining me from podcast land or on YouTube. Before we get started today, I just wanted to say, I'm doing this. This podcast is a real thing, and this is episode 7. Huge thank you to everyone who's reached out and shared that they're enjoying the podcast or getting value from it. Also, thank you to those who have shared topic ideas. Y'all are so clever and creative, which of course is no surprise. And also, thank you to those who have given me kind and helpful feedback on how things can be even better. Thank you. Thank you. Today, we're going to talk about the idea of imperfect wins. And I'm going to start with a sports story because lots of imperfect wins are found in the sports world. I'm a big Bay Area sports fan. I love the Golden State Warriors, the San Francisco 49ers, and the San Francisco Giants. And those of you that follow Major League Baseball know that the San Francisco Giants won the World Series in 2010, 2012, and in 2014. Not by playing beautiful and perfect baseball. In fact, sometimes it was just the opposite. The 2010 season mantra was literally the word torture. And this phrase was coined by their famed announcer, Dwayne Kuiper. And he started calling the games torture, the season torture, because watching the games was very stressful. Clearly, the World Series championship that year, and you could probably argue the others as well, was imperfect. This podcast is an imperfect win. The original plan was to launch this in fall of 2020. I had a logo. Thank you, Sierra. I had a myriad of topic ideas and I was ready to roll. And then I got a small case of cold feet. And then I was ready to go again in summer 2022. And then some life things got in the way. I'm sure you know how that goes. And then in a serendipitous meeting last fall, everything came together for me to launch. And I think what is the most important thing about talking about imperfect wins is that it reminds us of the danger of all or nothing thinking. If the Giants would have quit when they were struggling, they wouldn't have 3 World Series victories during that very short time period. 2022, the Golden State Warriors had a similar struggling season that led to a championship. And if they had taken their eye off the prize because their season that year wasn't like their other championship seasons, they wouldn't have that title. And if I would have given up on this podcast before it even began, I wouldn't be having as much fun as I am today sharing with you. It doesn't have to be perfect to be a win. Let's say that again. Maybe we should say that together. Please say it with me. It doesn't have to be perfect to be a win. So this week, let's be on the lookout for this idea of all or nothing thinking that a lot of us have in so many areas. A win is a win, regardless of whether the path to it was perfect, imperfect, or anything in between. Professionally, we may have a project that's not going smoothly. That doesn't mean it's not going to be valuable or that we should quit. The path to a promotion might be taking longer than we wanted to. Again, it's still going to be a promotion regardless of how long it takes. An academic analogy and something I tell my students all the time, nobody ever asks how long it took you to get your degree. If that is something you want, just don't quit. Sometimes we have all or nothing thinking about our health. We have this idea of the number of workouts or the intensity of workouts or the type of workouts. And when we fall short, sometimes we just say, oh, it's not worth it because it's an imperfect path. It's not true. Anybody who knows anything about exercise, and I am certainly not an expert, but I've read a lot of things. It doesn't matter that it is imperfect. It's the exercise that counts. Sometimes we have all or nothing thinking with our eating. We overeat or eat something that we have not planned to, or isn't something that we feel serves us, and we'll just say, oh, it doesn't matter anymore because I have done the one thing that I didn't want to do. Again, not true. Not true. We'll just get back up and start again at the next meal. Relationships. We don't have to get along all the time to have an amazing relationship with someone. It is okay to disagree. It is okay to have a so-so date. That doesn't mean that it's not happening with the relationship. It is okay to have, to butt heads with our children. That doesn't mean that our relationship is not valuable. And all or nothing thinking in any of these areas, and I'm sure that you can think of many, many, many more, is actually not true. And now that I'm talking about this a little longer, probably all of our wins are imperfect. And we need to remember that when we get discouraged and when we, want to give up and when we're frustrated because things are not going exactly the way we want to in any area of our life. That doesn't mean we're not going to get to the finish line that we want. That doesn't mean we're not going to get the result that we want. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be awesome when we get there. And it also doesn't mean that it's not going to be awesome along the way. So imperfect wins are wins. And that's what I want to leave you with today. Thank you for joining me. And I'd love to hear what you think. Please let me know at my website, Betsy A. Hayes, that's Betsy, the letter A, HAYS.com. And to help keep this podcast going, please subscribe, share with a friend, and consider rating and reviewing. I very much appreciate and value your support. Tune in next week for another episode of Handled-ish, Productivity for the Imperfect. Until then, take care. Please be kind to yourself because you are doing way better than you think you are. Trust me.